What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirt City Gym, back in another video for y'all today. So today we are taking a look at, this Prison Frieza, mid-range Frieza, whatever you want to call it. So it's an archetype that I've never personally been a great fan of. It's just one of those decks that doesn't do a whole lot. It's just basically saying, I'm not going to let you play stuff until I can, and that kind of stuff, which isn't my personal favorite type of deck to play in the game. I find them more annoying than I do anything. But I do think it's relevant to bring up in discussion because it is starting to become more popular. It's kind of found its own little niche where it's doing things that other decks can't, and it has a strong win condition now. And that was kind of always my problem with the deck before, is I never felt like it had a fantastic win condition. I just wasn't a fan of the big Frieza chain. I didn't just think that was good enough. But now we've got the Babidi and the Kaio-Ken staff, and I do feel like that is actual a legitimate win condition. So let's go ahead and get into this list. Alright, so first up we've got our leader Frieza, and then Golden Frieza, Majestic Emperor. Permanent, you can't include battle cards and energy costs of 3 or less in your deck, so that means no super combos. And then activate main once per turn. Look up 5 cards from the top of your deck, choose up the 1 red extra card among them, then add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then awaken, whenever your life is 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. And then on his backside, he's an activate main. Once per turn, draw 1 card. And then auto, whenever this card is attacked by a battle card, you may choose 1 red Frieza's army card from your hand, place it in your drop area. If you do, negate that attack and the skill for the duration of the turn. So obviously on his front side, he's plussing extra cards. On his backside, he's just drawing cards, and then he has a built-in negate, which is pretty cool. There are some restrictions, obviously, to him, because we can't include battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less in the deck, which is a little aggravating. There's things like super combos that we'd love to run, you just can't. A lot of 0-5k combos that you like to run, you just can't. But we do have kind of ways to mitigate those things. So let's go ahead and get into the list. So first up, we've got 4 Chain Attack Trunks. Pretty much everyone knows what this is by now, but he is a 4-drop 20k. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose up to one of your battle, or choose 1 card in your hand with an energy cost of 15k or less and put it into play. And then he can attack active mode battle cards. We can't ever evolve him unless we're evolving him off of himself, which is sometimes relevant with the counterplays and the different things like that. But it is something to be aware of. Next up, we've got 4 Dark Duo Deborah. He's a 4-drop 2 red 20k permanent. If Dark Duo Babidi is in play in your battle area, this card gains barrier. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose the 2 cards in your opponent's hand, send them to the warp. And then auto, whenever this card leaves the battle area, your opponent adds all cards sent to the warp with this card skill to their hand. Really, this is just almost effectively like a hit. You're just able to rip cards out of their hand. The difference is that A, he doesn't have double strike, and B, you don't actually get to see the cards that are in their hand because you're effectively choosing at random. But this is a really good Babidi hit. If we need to. It's also a 0-5k combo, which I like, just having the addition to those in the deck. Next up, we have 4 Loyal Kokono. So Kokono is a 4-drop. He is a 15k, a 10k auto whenever you play or combo with this card. If your leader card is a red Frieza's army card, choose up the 1 red extra card in your drop area and add it to your hand. It's a 1 10k combo. So it is something you need to be aware. This is kind of effectively our super combo for the deck. You combo with this for 10k, and then you get to get back one of your negates or a Kabba's Awakening or something like that. So there's a lot of really good strategy you can do here. You can really extend the game with the Live to Fight Another Day by continually cycling that. We're just getting your negates back or whatever it is. Next up, we have 3 Umbral Blade Deborah. He's a 5-drop 2 red 25k double striker. Auto, whenever you play this card, if you have Evil Wizard Babidi in your battle area or leader area for the duration of the turn, this card gains plus 10,000 power and dual attack, so he becomes a 35k dual attack double strike, which is really, really nice. Typically speaking, we're never hard casting this guy. He's a hit off of our Babidi, which we'll get into next, actually. But he's a nice kind of way to close out the game. He's a big bomb that comes in and can just do a lot of damage. Moving on after that, we've got 4 Mind Control Babidi. So he's a 6-drop 2 red 10k. Whenever you play this card, look at the top 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose the 2 red battle cards among them with 25k or less power other than Evil Wizard Babidi and play them, then shuffle your deck. So this is what we're ideally playing off a chain attack for 4 as opposed to 6. Babidi has had an errata where you have to have 6 red energy in play in order for his skill to activate. So it is something to keep in mind. You do have to get to 6 regardless whether you're hard casting him or you're chaining him in order to get his effect. But whenever you get his effect, it is incredibly powerful. You're able to get really big bombs put in play that just kind of close out the game. So that really is kind of working with our strategy. We're just kind of stalling out the game until we get to those 6 energy where we can just try to win the game with Babidi. Next up, we've got 4 Kaio-Ken Son Goku, Defender of Earth. He's a 7-drop for 3 green, 2 red, 25k deflect, permanent. If there are 20 more red or green cards in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2, so it becomes a 5-drop, which is not relevant to us. And then auto, whenever your life reaches 1 for the duration of the turn, this card gains triple strike and dual attack, and can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. And then activate main, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. Your opponent reveals their hand, and then you choose up to 1 card from it and place it in the drop area, and this card gets plus 25 power for the duration of the turn. This is not a once per turn effect, so if you're at 6 life, you can rip 5 life. He gains 5 times 25k, and then you rip 5 cards out of your opponent's hand, then he becomes a triple strike dual attacker. So once that happens, it's pretty much GG if your opponent's within range, just because there's really not a lot they can do to stop that. It's a really great finisher card. Obviously, we're playing this right off the Babidi, so we're not worried about his actual energy cost. He's a 25k red card for everything we're concerned about. And so if we're going to hit something off the Babidi, this is the ideal hit, obviously. And then moving on to extra cards, which there are several. First up, we've got 4 Kabba's Awakening. So it's a 0 cost activate battle. Choose up to 1 of your red cards. It gains plus 6,000 power for the duration of the battle. So this is just a great way to like fix math. It's effectively a 10k combo. Because if they're swinging in, if you're at 10k and they're swinging in for 15, you combo Kabba's, or you play Kabba's Awakening, you get over that, so you don't have to worry about pitching 2 cards, you're just pitching 1. So it's effectively like a super combo in that way. You're just not drawing cards, but it does serve a lot of great purposes defensively for our leader. Even offensively, if we combo this, then your opponent has to pitch 2 cards. So there's a lot of really good applications, and like we talked about, you can get this off of local Kono, and you can start cycling this, which is nice. Next up, we've got 4 After Image Techniques, a 1-drop, 1 red, counterattack. If your leader card is red, choose up 1 of your cards, gets plus 40,000 power for the duration of the battle, then choose up 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10k for the duration of the turn. This is effectively a negate. Well, it's not technically a negate. You're making your leader super big, and the card that's attacking, you're minusing 10k, so it's a 50k swing, which is really nice. It's a sparking negate, or effective negate, so you can just take a life instead of paying this energy cost, which is really, really nice. One of the better one of these effects in the game. Next up, we've got 3 Is That All You've Got? It's a 1-drop, 1 red. Counterattack, if your leader card is red, negate the attack. Then you may choose 1 red card from your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, choose up the 2 of your opponent's battle cards, and they get minus 15k for the duration of the turn. This is a really, really powerful negate. This could almost effectively be 3 negates in 1. Depending on how your opponent sequences. If they have got battle cards in play and they like swing with their leader first, and you pitch something, is that all you got? Now you're giving 2 things minus 15k, and you're either killing those things, or now even if they attack, they're not going to be relevant enough to deal damage. So you're effectively killing or stopping 2 battle cards in the process. So that's why it can become 3 negates. So fantastic value, just really, really powerful card. Next up, we've got 3 Paralysis Technique. It's a 1-drop, 1 red counterattack. Negate the attack, and if your leader card is red, freeze his army. Card, choose your opponent's leader card and all of their battle cards, and they get minus 5k power for the duration of the turn. So again, depending on how you play this in your opponent's sequences, this could effectively like be a full stop negate, where you negate the attack, and then now your opponent's leader cards minus 5k, then all their battle cards are minus 5k. So any battle cards that they had in play were 5ks or less are now dead. Or if they're like 10ks now, or if they were 10ks and now they're 5ks, if they swing with something else and you combo another one of these, you can kill like multiple things. A lot of really good synergy here, which is a really fantastic negate if you have access to it. And there's only 2 leaders in the game right now that have access to it, so I definitely recommend, if you can find room for this, find room for it, because it's very powerful. It's especially good versus a lot of the U6 stuff. You just like kill all their little 5ks that can't be KO'd. This isn't a KO effect, so it just gets rid of them, which is nice. Next up, we have 2 Transcendent Strike. It's a 1-drop, 1 red. Activate main, if your leader card is red, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 20k power or less and KO it. So again, just hard removal, which, there's not like a ton of hard removal in the game, but Transcendent Strike is one of those. 20k is a really good threat to get rid of, as long as it doesn't have barrier or something like that, but generally speaking, Very, very good card. Moving on, we've got 4 Denial of Hope. 2 drop 2 red. Counterplay, if your leader card is red, if the battle card your opponent is playing has 20k power or less, it is placed in Iturnes' drop area instead of being played. One of the best cards in the game currently. Probably one of the cards of all the new cards that made people get on this Frieza leader, just because you can search this off the top, and you can just really kind of control the game from this point whenever you start seeing these. You're stopping bombs from coming into play, you're stopping combo cards from coming into play, combo pieces from coming into play. Just very, very powerful, especially when you can start cycling this with like Loyal Konos or something like that. Just a very, very strong card. Alright, next up we've got 2, the Final Guardian. So it's just a 1-drop negate for our purposes. And because it gives one of our battle cards plus 5k, but that's not super relevant to us. And then permanent, if this card is in your drop area, you can activate it by paying its energy cost and removing it and 1 red card from the end from the game. And then auto, whenever you activate this card, you can't activate the Final Guardian for the duration of the turn. So it's just a really negate, like safety negate, so you can negate something like super early in the game with this. And now it's just sitting in your drop. We don't play Overwhelm, so it's always going to be in the drop. And then kind of late game, if your hand's low or you just don't have the negate you need in hand, or you can't use your leader ability, or like let's say it's a leader swing or something like that, you can just Final Guardian, bring this into play, and just kind of stop that from happening, which is really, really nice. And then finally, Live to Fight Another Day. So this is a 4-drop, or I mean, this is a 4 Live to Fight Another Day. It's a 3-drop, 2 red, 1 other. Activate main, if your leader card is a red Frieza's army card, your opponent has 3 or more energy, draw 1 card, and for the duration of your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't play battle cards with a 20,000 power or less unless they choose 3 cards from their hand and place them in the drop area as an additional cost. So this is just a great way to kind of stall out the game. As soon as this is live on your opponent's turn 3, you can start playing this, and then now they have to really make a decision whether they're going to play battle cards or not. Which is good for you, because if they're not playing battle cards, then the game goes longer. The longer the game goes, you get closer to that 6 energy. Once you get to that 6 energy, you go in the Babidi into the Kaio-Ken route, and typically you win whenever it gets to that point. This is a great way to really like stall that out as long as possible. This is also cyclable off the Loyal Kono, so you can start cycling this and play this like every turn until you get to the turn that you want to pop off. So you're preventing that pressure from coming on the board. If they do choose to play something, they're having to pitch cards in their hand, unless they're playing something like really big. So just a lot of really good combinations here with that to really just kind of extend the game and make them play at your pace as opposed to you playing to their pace, because you're not allowing them to play stuff. So very strong. So like I said, this deck has one of the stronger just win conditions in the game. I get to 6, I play Babidi, Babidi gets Kaio-Ken, and I win. Effectively, that's what that does. As long as you have, 2 to 3 life, so you can rip the cards out of your opponent's hand and then make Kaio-Ken huge. Obviously, the dream is to get 2 Kaio-Kens off the Babidi. That's not always like super realistic. Sometimes you can get like a Kaio-Ken and a chain attack, and if you get a chain attack, then you can play that chain attack and play another Babidi from hand if you have it. That's kind of like living the dream. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can just get like awkward pulls, depending on how much you've dug into the deck at that point in the game. You may not hit a Kaio-Ken, and if you don't, that feels bad. But if you hit like a Deborah or 2 Deborahs, a Dark Blade Deborah, now you've got 2 35k dual attack double strikers to try to close out the game that way. Or you can rip like the Deborah, that Dark Duo that rips cards out of their hand, which is nice too. So you do have a lot of interesting counterplays there. One card I actually forgot, now that I'm looking over the list, is our SCR, which is just Frieza's Army Reborn. So if you have 2 or less life, you can reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it becomes a 5-drop. It's a 40k quadruple strike permanent, auto. Whenever you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand. Choose the 1 card from your opponent's hand and place it in the drop area. Then choose all of your opponent's battle cards with 40,000 power or less, ignoring barrier, and KO them. So he comes in, he wipes the board, he's quadruple strike. You can rip a negate out of your opponent's hand and just kind of swing and win the game that way. You can get that hand knowledge of what they have to combo with or everything like that. This is kind of a great failsafe, like if you can't get into the Kaio-Ken, or if for whatever reason they get you down low enough or Kaio-Ken's not relevant, you can just go 5 Frieza's Army Reborn, rip the negate out of their hand, and try to swing for game that way. So it gives you some different options there. I do think it's really powerful for the deck. But anyway, guys, that is it. And we will see y'all next time.